New season, new dreams, new destiny.
So remember, as physical as this game is, it's just as mental.
Straight ahead in the RebZone, we get you ready for UNLV football with a closer look at both sides of the ball. Who are some of the players to keep an eye on? Will the defense be better? And what challenges do the schedule present? Head coach Tony Sanchez is in studio to break it all down.
Battle with yourself to get yourself in a place so you can have sustained, continued success.
We're fired up for season 7 of the RebZone, and we're ready to rock.
Pour some sugar on me.
Right now.
Rebels on me, rebels on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Rebels.
This is the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
Good evening. Welcome inside our first RebZone of the season. Kevin Bollinger alongside UNLV head football coach Tony Sanchez. Fired up. We are ready to go for football.
Yeah, we're excited. You know, you had the mock game, last night. Now it's game week, so we're ready to go and chomping at the bit. Can't wait to get back out there.
We're going to go into Southern Utah here in a few minutes, but first let's talk about the schedule as a whole.
Yeah.
2 byes this year, and it looks like that middle portion of the schedule is a gauntlet that you're going to have to go through. Overall, how would you address that schedule?
Yeah, it's really broken up into those 3 parts. You got to come out of the gate strong, and obviously you got Southern Utah at home, a real important game against Arkansas State, and then a real fun, tough game on the road against Northwestern. So excited about that. But you're right, those next 6 weeks, those are some of the top teams in our conference. You get an SEC team thrown in there. Got Boise coming in. So that's going to be a little bit of a gauntlet. But then you take another blow, and then you come back for those final 3 and finishing up there in Reno. So we're excited about it.
It all starts with Southern Utah on Saturday night against Sam Boyd. Interesting team because 2 years ago, this was a team that was really, really good in the Big Sky. Last year, they had a lot of struggles. Last year, giving up 541 yards and 41 points a game defensively, but they also put up about 420 yards offensively. What do you know about this team?
It's an interesting team to watch on film. They have a new defensive coordinator, so there's not a lot there. We're studying more Rams film than we are, anything else, because that's the last place coach worked. And then offensively, they played 4 different quarterbacks last year, and they had 3 different quarterbacks that attempted over 100 passes. So, their number 1 guy last year is coming back. He's healthy now, but there's a variety of things we're watching on film. Some of the stuff that they did at the end was kind of gimmicky to get them through games. They did a lot of kind of wildcat type stuff. So, it's more personnel driven, and really game 1 is going to really be about us. So we got to be prepared for a lot of things. You never know what kind of wrinkles they're going to throw at you. So we're getting prepared for a large volume of things.
We know FCS opponents have always been a struggle with UNLV over the last couple of decades. Southern Utah's come in here and played well under previous coaching staffs. What do you do to get the kids in the right mindset to know that anything can happen? They got to come out and give their best effort.
Well, we've experienced it firsthand. So, you don't even have to bring that up. There's a reminder every single day about, being prepared. You saw the game last night with Hawaii knocking off Arizona. That's not supposed to happen, but it's going to happen every single Saturday across the country. So we know that the number 1 opponent, especially in game 1, is yourself. You watch some of the games on TV last night, Miami and, in Florida, and you see the amount of turnovers and the amount of penalties and things like that. And every program's got to battle with the processes in week 1. So if we can play a clean game, not turn the ball over, limit the amount of penalties we have, hopefully be completely clean there, and tackle well in space. If you do those things, you have a great chance to win the game.
Well, let's start taking a closer look at this Rebel team, beginning with the offense. A lot of weapons coming back, but there's also a new person calling the plays. I recently sat down with new offensive coordinator Garen Justice to get his take on where things stand.
Things have moved quickly here in the last few weeks from being installed as the offensive coordinator. What has changed in terms of the offense with you in control compared to Barney calling plays?
Well, I've definitely got a lot more busy. That's the first thing that's happened. But it's really kind of been a whirlwind. But the good news is we have a lot of continuity in our room, a lot of chemistry. We've all worked together. Ronnie Regula, who we brought in, was here last year, so it's not like we have to develop a relationship with a new guy. So as far as offensively, we've done, I think, a pretty good job of keeping the terminology the same, keeping the continuity for the kids, but also expanding on what we think some of our skill guys can do and kind of play into our players.
Will we see a difference in aggressiveness in terms of the offensive play calling under you?
Well, first and foremost, I hope we're efficient, and I think with that efficiency, some explosives will occur. I do think we have the potential to be aggressive. I do think we have the potential to be very, very explosive. hopefully we can find the right timing within the game plan to make those calls.
One thing with Armani is exposure to the possibility of injury. How much has that been stressed in terms of lowering your shoulder to get an extra yard rather than stepping out of bounds, or exposing him on as many quarterback draws as we've seen him do in the last couple of years?
Yeah, that's been a major talking point with him. Again, some of it has been his fault, some of it has been the coaching staff's fault. And Armani kind of spoils you sometimes as a play caller, because you want to say, all right, this guy he can run, and he's big and physical, and he can do all those things, and then you get hurt and you're like, what were we thinking, running him like that? So we have to be smart. We have to coach him about taking care of yourself, understanding, okay, this is a time where you have to go for it. This is a time where maybe you can step out of bounds, or maybe you can slide. And also we have to eliminate those QB runs from the game plan. Are we still going to have them? Got to have them for certain situations. But overall, big picture, we got to play the long game in this deal.
Will you know as you break camp what you have, or will you need to see it on the field for a game or two?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's all between the ears. I think I know what we can be. I've seen what we can be. I'm excited about what we have the potential to be. But when the lights come on, we have to do it. We're collectively as an offensive staff going to keep building in these guys. The response has been great. The guys have been phenomenal. And I have no worries that those guys will step up just because of the experience we have and what I've seen from most of those guys in the past.
All right, so Barney Cotton's health forced him to step aside, and we wish him the best. We know he's watching and keeping tabs on this program very closely, but you had to install Garen Justice. What does he bring to the table?
You know, Garen's a guy who's been a head coach before, so he stood in front of the room. We saw what he did, how articulate and how sharp he was with details with the offensive line. And just having worked with him for that time, I felt really comfortable that he could come in and help the offense continue to grow and move it in a positive direction. So, and we've seen that, since, we had that conversation and he's taken over. He's done a really, really good job. Again, terminology is the same. He knows the personnel, the continuity within the staff. And he's going to add some of his own personality into it, too. And we've seen that in camp. And I think, he talks about efficiency, and I think that's what we've been in camp, really efficient.
Yeah, this offense has a chance to be explosive, but there's also the run-pass balance that I know is so important that this team can bring as well.
No doubt, and especially with us, really starting to build around Armani, stick with the RPO games. He's going to organically run the football. We know that. Again, him making those decisions about not taking the unneeded hits and things like that are going to be really important. But, with him, Charles Williams back there, we have a deeper receiving crew than we've ever had before. The additional Randall Grimes is an explosive playmaker. I think we're going to be really fun to watch.
I think one of the key things out of that interview was protecting Armani, because we all know that his health is critical to the success of this program. We saw him exposed a lot with a lot of quarterback draws last year, to where he took a beating at times. Is it important to make sure that you have the backs and the options as well that can be the guys that can lower their shoulder on the third and ones? Because Lex obviously was a small guy, Charles a little bit bigger guy.
Yeah.
That's an important part as well.
It is an important part. I mean, again, organically, he's going to run the ball. There's going to be some quarterback runs in there, but you don't want to get overly carried away with it, because you do need him for the long haul. We know our chance of winning the Western Division and getting into the postseason, a lot of it really hinges on number one in his play. So we've got a good number two. Kenny Noblad's done a really good job, obviously with Max being out. So we're comfortable. We're more comfortable with the quarterback spot with depth than we've been before. But we know that, this is Armani's team. And when he's in there and he's playing to the best of his ability, we have a chance to beat anybody on the schedule.
Well, time for us to take our first break, but when we come back, we're talking defense with coordinator Tim Skipper and Tony Sanchez. Why is there hope that things will be better on the back end this year? Find out next as the RebZone rolls on.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
The Rebel defense is looking for bigger and better things this season. There are some fresh faces and some familiar ones returning that has led to a lot of optimism on that side of the ball. Here's my conversation with defensive coordinator Tim Skipper.
Year two with you, with the defense. What gives you the confidence that things are now kind of clicking into place with what you want to do and the players that you now have?
Definitely after you get a year under your belt, you start to get the guys you want, you start to understand the guys, and you know the positions to put the guys in, and just knowing them better. I mean, I know their lives. You know, before we hit the ground running and it's just all ball. Now you actually know the hardships some guys have had and the different ways you have to teach them and understand when they're having a bad day, why maybe, and from their background and things like that. Now it's a whole year of us putting it all together.
You were able to bring in some pieces too in the off season. How much of an impact are some of these new guys going to have on the defense this year?
It's huge because now you're recruiting specific to the style of the play that you want to play. And it's also gets the guys that are currently there a year into the system also and getting their fundamentals right. The blend of that makes everybody better. You always want to have new guys come in to have that new blood to get the older guys to say, oh, I better keep working. You know, keep the competition. When you have competition, that's when you get the best.
One thing, if you look at this defense, there's kind of a leader in each position group on the defense. As a coordinator, what's the importance of that in terms of having that on the field coaching and leadership?
Definitely. So you want to have at least one or two in each position group so when the coaches aren't around or they don't see something, the guys can take it over. And then game day is when you really feel it because they're on that bench and somebody has to control all the emotions. And your leaders are the guys that got to be the guys that settle this all down. And we have some vocal guys. A lot of places I've been, there's been a lot of guys lead by example. Well, now when you have the vocal guys, now you can actually hear what's happening. When you don't have the vocal guy, you have the leader by example, sometimes you're a little nervous that they're really leading. So we got a good mix of all of that.
Well, on the flip side though, sometimes vocal leaders, are you worried that they get too emotional, or is there such a thing as too emotional when you're inside a game situation?
Definitely such a thing. You know, your vocal leaders hopefully are your older guys that have been through a lot, so they don't let the emotions get to them. They're more of the clap it off, let's move on to the next play type guys. When they get emotional, now you got an issue, and that's where the coaches have to step in.
Can you tell in a training camp exactly what you have, or will it take a game or two for you to know?
To me, I'm a guy that you don't know until you play the game. It's different. There's a lot of people in the stands. There's a lot of stuff going on. Coaches aren't able to just yell, hey, da, 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 da. You know, you're out there, and that's the ultimate test. So until you get to the ultimate test, you really don't know, but that's why you practice. So you practice to set them up for the ultimate test.
So we'll find out on Saturday against Southern Utah.
Definitely. I'm excited and ready to go.
So let's start up front. Nick Dadashian back from injury. You have Gabe McCoy on the end. That's a solid group up front.
It really is, and it's the first time since I've been here that we have eight guys that can play, and we can hockey change them anytime we want. We'll be fine. Jacoby Wyndham behind Gabe's is as talented as any freshman we've had and we've ever recruited. I mean, the kid, he'll get to start week one because Gabe's out week one because of he was granted that extra year of eligibility. So it's going to be fun to watch him. And then Dadashian with Nate Neal, those two splitting those reps. I mean, I bet they play 50-50, and keeping Dash fresh is going to be huge. And then one of the biggest issues over the last bunch of years is that D tackle spot. So Okolo Useke, who was phenomenal at the end of the year last year, and Tavis Malakias, and then Montrese Johns and Dominion Ezenwa have had the best off seasons on the team. I mean, they've transformed their bodies, and so those 8 guys, you're going to see those guys rolling in and out the entire night.
And when you go to linebackers, Javen White had a breakout season last year, and then you bring in Vegas Vic, who is somebody who's multi-dimensional in what he can do. This is a solid group as we've had here in a long time as well.
It's by far the best linebacking group as far as depth goes. We were always worried about just how paper thin we were, but you have Farrell, Hester, and Vic playing the mic. Those guys have been battling it out, and again, you're going to see those guys probably share most of the game. That's exciting, And then, you talked about Javen. Javen, he's been exceptional with, and then Gibbs, who ended up playing, well at the end of the year. Those two guys sharing the same spot. And then you look over at the will spot, and Malachi Salu's had a tremendous offseason. We redshirted him last year. He played in the 4 games, and he's had a great camp. And then you had Ray Jackson in the transfer from Florida. So those 6 guys right there are good football players, and it makes you sleep a little bit better at night knowing there's a little bit more depth there.
Well, the one thing I know that keeps coaches up at night, at least here, has been the back end.
Yeah.
It's where the problems have been, as we've said, for decades, not just a matter of years, is the back end. What makes you confident that this group is different and that is going to be something that can turn this team around and keep you in games?
Yeah, well, all 4 guys have started. All 4 guys got starts under the belts, have experience. Drew Techman, obviously the least amount of experience, but he's probably the most athletic out of all of them. So excited about him. And Evan Austria, 5th-year senior. Jericho Flowers, a 5th-year senior, and Miles Plummer. So those guys are good. The biggest thing is creating depth there, right? We're really fighting hard to find out who is that 3rd and 4th corner that you can trust. At the safety spot too, guys like Greg Francis and Phillip Hill, they got to really kick it into gear and get going. But if they do that, I feel really good about the starting 4. We're a little thinner there than we are in the other spots on defense, but we're talented.
Well, it has become a kickoff edition tradition here in the Reb Zone, miking up Coach Sanchez to give you a feel for what it's like inside training camp. We're going to give you that straight ahead. Plus, we talk about the final year of UNLV football at Sam Boyd Stadium. All of that and more in just 2 minutes. Stick and stay.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
This is the 49th and final year that UNLV football will play games at Sam Boyd Stadium. Originally called Las Vegas Stadium when it opened in 1971, most longtime residents still call it the Silver Bowl, which was part of the name from 1978 to 1994. All season long, UNLV will honor a different decade of Sam Boyd Stadium during home games. UNLV football moves to the nearly $2 billion Allegiant Stadium near Russell and the 15 next season. We'll have more on that in a moment, but first, let's give you an inside look at practice. Coach let us put a microphone on him during camp. Here's some of the sights, sounds, and singing talents of Tony Sanchez.
Perfect song, training day. Denzel action. Got to be fired up about going to work today. You have your temperature app? What's the temperature here? You have the GPS temperature? 89. Yeah, 89. I love it.
Yeah, I got 86.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Where you be making up all these degrees and stuff? It ain't 86.
Yeah, look at your phone. We won't hit 90 today during practice. Humidity's up, temperature's down.
Oh, you sir?
I look at my phone every day when I come out here, man. Let's go. Some of them have jobs for a paycheck, others have jobs for a passion. Let's go, baby. Be passionate about it. There you go, Armani. I love that. Good job, Dash. Way to work, Dash. Pour some sugar on me. Got to have a body clock. Armani, you got to have a clock in your head. You're running out of time. Hey, they're not tackling, but they're thudding, right? So you got to keep your feet. No reason to fall down. No. You finish every time. They're going to thud you, release you, and you score.
Don't ever stop because they're going to kill your ass every time.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, your feet can't stop on contact. You're training yourself, too, to run through contact. Let's be impressive on film at the end. Here we go. The ball's out, and he fumbled it. That's a big play. Let's go, man. Cream rises to the top. Let's go. Hey, you're going to take a shot in the game. Plant that foot, deliver it, get blown up, and be a hero. No, he's coming. Yeah, no, he's coming. That's yours. That's your guy, Armani.
Oh, good. Perfect. Love it.
Good. There you go. That's a nice ball, Armani. Nice smooth throw. Good job, one. There you go. We're going to wear this song out this year, boys. We're going to wear this out post-game this year. Remember, as physical as this game is, it's just as mental, right? Battle with yourself to get yourself in a place so you can have sustained, continued success. You got that? A lot of variables included there. A lot of variables you got to work through. But if you commit to it through the duration of this camp, by the time it's over, you'll be a different dude. You understand that? You'll be a different dude. We'll be a different program, and we'll be prepared to go get 13. You got that, guys?
Rebels on me, rebels on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Rebels.
Anybody who's been around this program as a fan or somebody who's gotten close to it over the past few decades knows that the culture has changed at UNLV football. It's different than it has ever been. It's better than it's ever been. This group seems to exemplify that more than any other of the previous 4 years under you.
You know, no doubt. You know, and Skip brought it up too, just some of the leadership and the vocal leadership. You know, we now have our first group of fifth-year seniors. You look at guys like Gabe McCoy, you look at, you know, Darren Woods, you look at Javen Whites and, you know, Jericho Flowers. And, you know, there's a lot of guys, Evan Ostry, and that have been around for a long time, you know, and they've taken some hits, had some great moments, but they've committed to it. And I think that's one of the reasons we're doing so well in so many different phases. I mean, from the academics to graduating our kids to, you know, to playing more competitive, consistent football. But now it's time to put it all together and go out and have a great season.
We mentioned the last season at Sam Boyd Stadium. A lot of football games have been played in that place. Are you a history type of guy that you say, all right, this is important to go out on a good note and think about all the football that's been played on that field?
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, the secondary story is all the people that are going to be just, you know, kind of nostalgic about it, you know, and it's funny about, you know, being a coach or being a player. You can't really think about that stuff. You've got to live it and you'll look back on it later, you know, but right now we really just got to focus on going 1-0, you know, just getting ourselves off to a good start. And I think if we take care of the things that we're capable of, we'll create a hell of a memory in that stadium.
We're going to wrap up the Reb Zone in just a moment with some final thoughts from Coach Sanchez as we get you ready to kick off the 2019 season right after this.
You're watching the Fox 5 RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.
All right, here we go, 2019 season, and I know that everybody believes that this team has a chance to do something special. It would be great to have a big crowds out there at Sam Boyd Stadium to watch this thing develop.
Oh, I think it's imperative. Our guys are ready to go. Again, it's going to be a great season. We've worked really hard to get this opportunity we have, but we need as many fans out there as possible. We appreciate the Rebel Nation, how much you support us, so come on out Saturday night. Cheer us on.
As you go through this week now, this is now game week prep.
Yep.
What is going to be the way, and I think school starts on Monday as well,
does,
right?
yeah.
So how are you going to navigate that with it being first game, first week of school and everything else?
Well, good thing is we're basically kind of redoing what we did last week. So we kind of, you know, when you have those 2 weeks to prepare like everybody does in camp, you know, this will be, you know, the exact same week as we had last week, with the exception of they're going to school now. So it's just kind of talking them through it, making sure they're up and ready to roll and high energy. I mean, if you're a ball player, you better be excited about this week.
All right, Coach, good luck this season.
Appreciate it.
We're looking forward to bringing you the Reb Zone every Sunday night at 11 o'clock as we break down what happened the week before and look ahead to beyond and give you some fun features as well. Kickoff at 7 o'clock at Sam Boyd on Saturday night as Southern Utah comes in. Thanks for joining us in the Reb Zone. We'll see you next Sunday. Good night.
The RebZone Sports Show, sponsored by R.C. Willey and Levitt Law Firm.